Hello, my name is Commander Crimshadow, and welcome back to another of my Elite Dangerous Codex videos. In this episode, I'm going to be going over the mystery of the Stolon Pod. This video took a lot of work, including 2 different trips out to these guys, so I really hope you enjoy. Not only is the Stolon Pod very, very far away from literally everything, they might also be the most alien thing I've seen so far. So starting off, I wanted to show where the Stolon are found. Way out in the Outer Scutum-Centaurus Arm, just shy of 57,000 light-years from the bubble and 35,000 light-years from Colonia, getting to these guys is a trip. Now, most of the other biologicals have variants, whether that be different colors, they may have different traits. The Stolon are different. The pod is found in 4 different what I call configurations. The first one is shown here, what I call closed. We can see that the shell looks a lot like a walnut shell, but with a base attached to it. Now if we move on to the configuration that I call open, we see that there's a pearl inside. I use the name Pearl as the codex for the Stolon Pod describes them as being known in universe as space oysters due to the object found at the center of the pod. It should be noted that the closed configuration also has the pearl inside, it's just really hard to show. Next up is the empty configuration, same as open but this time with no pearl. This particular clip also has a more true color view of the base. I did have a bit of a hard time getting the opening in good light here. Lastly, we have just the pearl. I wanted to have my anaconda in the shot, not so you could see what a 0% integrity anaconda looks like, but to see how truly big these things are. Back to the pearl though, it has a very uneven surface with some visible polygons. Switching to a darker view of the pearl, we can see that in addition to the pearlescent outside, it also has swirls of color and a bit of a pulsing life to it. These qualities are present in the pearl of the open configuration and of those found in the tree. Before I move on to the tree, I would like to cover why earlier I called the Stolon Pod a mystery. While there are some biologicals that I wasn't able to get every trait for, or wasn't able to get every trait to trigger in the codex, I have no idea if the Stolon Pod even has traits. I've tried everything I can think of, which I'll list here. I've approached with lights off, with lights on, I've data link scanned, pulse wave scanned, xeno scanned, manifest scanned, used the abrasion blaster, mining laser, fired subsurface displacement missiles and seismic charges. I've fired beam lasers, multi-cannons, conventional missiles, even enzyme missiles. I've fired off chaff near them, used the electronic countermeasure, the shutdown field neutralizer. I've used silent running to heat up and then fire off a heat sink. I've even pushed an open pod into the cold aura of an ice crystal, and gotten nothing. I'd say they have no traits, but it's impossible to know. Maybe there's still something to be found. Now, of course, like many other pods, the Stolon Pod has a tree. But there's no tree in the game like the Stolon tree. Its center resembles that of an asteroid, but it has a multitude of large branches off of it that have small buds on the side. At the end of each branch is a Stolon Pod, some closed, some open, some empty. I have 2 more things to show on the Stolon tree. The first is the spiderweb-like threads that stretch between some of the branches. I'm not sure what to make of these, but I am scared of it. If it isn't it, I really don't want to think about space spiders. The second is that on the dark side of the tree, you can see the branches have a long, pulsing illumination cycle. On for a long period of time, and then pulsing off, and then back on. Lastly, back to the pods, you can use research limpets on them, and out of 20 limpets, I received 12 pod tissue and 8 pod surface tissue. This was across all of the configurations, and I didn't really see anything different from one to the other. So this is everything I've got on the Stolon Pods and the Stolon tree. I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It has meant a lot to me to see my channel continuing to grow. In the video description, I've included 2 systems that these guys exist in if you're crazy enough to visit these guys on your own. But I will say, getting to these guys is no Sunday drive. So why not just join me again for another Elite Dangerous Tours video, where I'll be jumping, so you don't have to.